In this session on meteorology, under pressure and wind, we will study the lecture number 4, wind near the surface. Here we will study on the Ekman spiral. Okay. The planetary boundary layer which is the lowermost part of the atmosphere, spanning almost less than 1 kilometer in general, and we can call this planetary boundary layer by another name, atmospheric boundary layer, or turbulent boundary layer, or mixed layer, or even convective boundary layer, or friction layer. So these are various names of planetary boundary layer or atmospheric boundary layer. Generally we can take the height almost less than 1 kilometer. Okay, depends on the convective conditions. Definitely it may span even up to 2-3 kilometers. Okay, now here under this topic we will call the wind variations near the surface, let it be in the planetary boundary layer. Okay, here the frictional influence or frictional force is more prominent, or what we can see, frictional force M not equal to 0. Okay, and thereby no balance between the pressure gradient force, the horizontal pressure gradient force and the Coriolis force. Okay, clear? And here what we can see, the planetary boundary layer or atmospheric boundary layer or mixed layer or convective boundary layer, there we can see the frictional force is not equal to 0. That is, frictional force is not becoming equal to 0, and the balance between pressure gradient force or horizontal pressure gradient force and Coriolis force, there will not be any balance at all. So what we can suppose or what we can imagine, the air parcels, because M not equal to 0, air parcels moves across isobars. Okay, so if I am taking a surface weather chart or surface isobaric analysis. Say let it be this is 1000 millibar and here I am taking 1004 millibar. Of course this is the low and this is the high pressure region, and here due to m not equal to 0 the air parcel we move across the isobar. Okay, and the balance between pressure gradient and Coriolis force, it will not balance in this fashion we can imagine, that is horizontal pressure gradient force and Coriolis force. No doubt the frictional force will be exactly opposite. Okay, this is the parcel movement V. V is the parcel movement and C is the Coriolis force. This is the horizontal pressure gradient force and M is the frictional force, that is M is present under the planetary boundary layer. And when it crosses, that is when the air parcel move across the isobar, it will make a certain angle. Let it be this called alpha, and alpha will be termed as cross isobaric angle. The cross isobaric angle. Say if you compare the cross isobaric angle over the ocean and the land, what we can see over ocean, alpha value we can take of the order of 10 degree to 20 degree, and over land area we can take the alpha value almost 20 to 40 degree. This is at say 10 meter level. Generally in meteorology we will take this 10 meter level because generally almost all over the world there is a procedure of measuring observation from automated surface observation system, automated surface observation systems. Yes, okay, so that is the procedure, that is 10 meter height level wind speed we will take from the automated surface observation system. Okay, I am not going detail about the why we are taking the 10 meter level, that and all. If you refer regarding automated surface observation system you can get it, or in future lectures I will narrate very extensively. So no doubt here the force, that is pressure gradient force, still it will be towards low pressure. So and this is the surface. Say now we will see the picture how it is in aloft, that is within the 1 kilometer level the wind speed as well as a direction, how it behave with respect to various levels within the planetary boundary layer. And first we will study, say I am going to, even though the wind variation is upwards or with respect to height, I am going to project all the wind speeds at various levels. I am going to project to the surface level itself, and first we will make a pictorial representation. So I am having isobars, okay, say this is towards, that is this is east and this portion is west, of course this will be north, and here I am taking, let it be 1004 millibar, 1002 millibar, 1000, okay, 998 millibar. No doubt this area will be marked as low pressure, and here we are going to study the effect in the northern hemisphere. That is northern hemispheric wind variation within the planetary boundary layer. What we can see when here, if you go towards say I am taking a wind after making of course a cross isobaric angle. This is the cross isobaric angle. I can represent a wind vector in this fashion at 10 meter level. Now I am going to make another one here, and say let it be this at 100 meter, and say I can make another one here and another one here. No doubt these all going towards low pressure with friction and thereby making cross isobaric angles. And when say here I am taking as let it be 200 meter, up to here, so and another one I am making it here. Say this I am taking as 200, this let it be 500 or let it be 600. Say almost when I reached here at 1000 meter, that is it becomes parallel to the isobar. No doubt when a wind becomes parallel to the isobar, it will be nothing but the geostrophic wind Vg. That is geostrophic approximation is holding good at, that is in this observation, that is in this wind observation at various levels. What we have seen, when it reaches 1000 millibar, we can see the wind becomes equal to geostrophic wind, and no doubt of course it should be then parallel to the isobar itself or along the isobar itself. And so here I am taking here again another cross isobaric angle is there. So when the wind in aloft in the planetary boundary layer, if you check, the cross isobaric angle is becoming less when you go upwards, and finally you will reach a situation of alpha equal to 0 when you approach the top of the planetary boundary layer. And this is true, that is there you can see a clockwise rotating wind variation with height, and this clockwise in the northern hemisphere, this clockwise rotation of winds with height in the northern hemisphere, it will be called as veering of wind. Okay, this is the phenomena of veering. So this is the low pressure area this side, and this will be the high pressure. So this is the 100 meter, 200 meter wind, 500 meter and 600 and 1000 meter. So we have seen here Vg achieved at 1000 meter, which is from west. This is towards east. No doubt the Vg here at 1000 meter level, it is westerly, that is westerly Vg. Okay, westerly Vg. No doubt when it reaches here, we have seen the wind is parallel to the isobar. When it becomes parallel to the isobar, of course it will be, or there will not be any friction, that is alpha equal to 0, and your frictional force m also will become equal to 0. And another feature what we have seen, as height increases, cross isobaric angle decreases due to reduction of frictional force. Due to reduction of frictional force, due to reduction reduction alpha decreases to higher heights. Okay, to higher heights. So this dotted curve shows the theoretical location of the tip of the wind vectors at different elevation. This dotted curve is a theoretical curve or theoretical location of the tip of the wind vectors at different elevations, that is 100 meter, 200 meter, 500 meter, 600 meter, and finally when it touches the 1000 meter, it becomes geostrophic wind. There alpha becomes 0 as well as m equal to 0. And the mathematical solution of this theoretical curve is called the Ekman spiral. Okay, that is in the northern hemisphere, in the planetary boundary layer, the wind variation with respect to height, say almost up to 1 kilometer or so, that is there is a specific clockwise rotation of the wind called veering, and it will be called as the theoretical curve generated due to the wind variation in the planetary boundary layer in the northern hemisphere. It will be called as Ekman spiral. Okay, now we will see a 3D representation of the same Ekman spiral. So here I will take, let it be this I am taking towards east, then it will be towards north, and this is the plane. Of course you have your isobars in this fashion, and you are taking wind variation with respect to height in the northern hemisphere. So if I am taking in this fashion, I can represent okay, to ease my representation, I am just drawing this theoretical curve, the Ekman spiral initially. So I can take with respect to height, say first I am marking the 10 meter, that is very lowermost wind vector in this fashion, and no doubt the isobars are lying in this fashion, that is the surface alone I am putting the isobars. say the next level, say now I am going to project this position here, that is project towards down, it will come and touch here. Okay, so I can make the wind vector here, and next point I am projecting it here, and that is a 100 meter, and next let it be here, I am projecting it here. So finally what we can see, that is when it reaches thousand meter, it will be, that is when I am taking a projection of 1000 meter, what we can see, it will becomes, that is parallel to isobar, that is if, that is the VG will be along east, so will be towards east, and I got the theoretical curve, that is I am just taking the projection downwards for each level. Okay, then finally I received the so-called the theoretical curve on the surface, the projection of various level wind vectors. No doubt, of course, it is making certain angle, so-called the cross isobaric angle, and finally we received a wind which is parallel to the isobar. There m will be, that is here for this wind m equal to 0, that is there will not be any friction, and V will be equal to Vg. That is the top of the planetary boundary layer. So this curve is called, this is the 3D representation of wind variation in the planetary boundary layer through the theoretical curve called Ekman spiral in meteorology, because in oceanography also you will study the same feature or same term or same current variation as Ekman spiral. Okay, that is not coming into our purview, and here we will study the planetary boundary layer wind variation called as Ekman spiral in the northern hemisphere. No doubt here the wind variation is clockwise with respect to height, and the term called, it is so called veering of wind, and in the southern hemisphere we will call it as, the reverse is true, and it will be called as backing of wind, BACKING in the southern hemisphere. Okay, this, okay, no doubt, this I can take it as 1004 millibar, then 1002, 1000 and 998 millibar. So no doubt this area is low pressure, and this is in the northern hemisphere. Okay, now we will study the features of wind, that is other wind variations in the atmosphere, that is in the troposphere. So of course in the atmosphere or in the troposphere we can see there will be, that is mostly we are dealing with the meteorology mostly, that is because of our the day-to-day activities or the weather forecasting activities, all we are concentrating mostly in the troposphere. So we will study about the air motions within the troposphere itself, and here we will study rising and sinking of air. Okay, no doubt the rising air regions are characterized by regions of clouds and precipitation. Whereas sinking area or sinking regions are of clear skies. Regions of clear skies. So, we will study more in detail or we will study how vertical air motions are induced. How that is, for the formation of vertical air motion, there should be some reason. The very first one is large scale. I am taking the very first one is large scale horizontal motion. Okay, causes convergence and divergence. Of course, the convergence will make air to pile up, and the large scale horizontal motion called divergence, it will make the phenomena of air spread out. That is, in the first case what we will see, that is, it will converge. Air motions will be getting converged, but whereas here it will be getting diverged in a general sense. Okay, so this is the first category, large scale horizontal motions, and the second category is upgliding of warmer air over colder air. Over colder air in frontal region. We will study frontal region. We will study on frontal regions. And the third one is orographic influence. And the fourth one is small scale convection or small scale through small scale convective currents. This is the fourth one. So, the vertical air motions are due to, first one is large scale horizontal motions, which causes, no doubt, through convergence or divergence. Convergence results piling up and divergence results spread out. And the second category is upgliding of warmer air over colder air in frontal zones. And the third category is orographic, that is the influence of mountains. And the fourth one is small scale convection. Now we will study the very first one, large scale horizontal motion. The very first one, large scale horizontal motion. So I am taking this as the surface. Say there is a low pressure. I am going to represent in the again northern hemisphere. This is the low. You know, in the northern hemisphere, low is associated with cyclonic circulation, that is in the anti-clockwise direction, and so that the air also encircling in this fashion. Okay, this is the situation of low, and what we can see in the case, this is the low. So in the case of low, what we can see, the rising of air motion in the lower level, that is in this fashion. Okay, so what we can see, the rising of air motion near lower atmosphere, and there will be no doubt, that is in the upper level there will be divergence. Here what we will term as, that is here the air motion will be towards this midpoint, or called or signifies convergence, and here it is divergence in the upper level. Okay, and this is the rising air. Okay, so that is here at higher elevation. This is at lower elevation. Say if you are taking the extreme, the low pressure extreme manifestation of low pressure, the so called cyclonic situation, you know, in the lowermost part or the lowermost atmosphere, what we can anticipate, the violent cyclonic flow. At the same time, when you reach almost up to 12 km and all, you will get only anticyclonic flow. That is, in the very bottommost you will have cyclonic, and the very topmost around 12 km and all, there will be anti-clockwise, and it is no doubt it is characterized by high pressure region, but whereas in the lower elevations it will be characterized by low pressure in the, no doubt that is the structure in the northern hemisphere. But whereas if you take in the case of a high pressure, say I am going to draw the same situation in the case of a high pressure region. Of course, this I can take it as 1004 and 1008 millibar. Here no doubt, of course, this will be reversed. 1000, let it be 1002 millibar and 1004 millibar, characterized by high pressure. And in the northern hemisphere you will get anticyclonic flow or clockwise rotation, so that what you can see, the winds here okay, in this clockwise sense it will be rotating. And if you see, if you compare the low pressure system and the high pressure system as a large scale or the large scale horizontal motion which takes place, in the case of a low pressure, that is the surface elevation or so called lower elevation, it will be characterized by convergence and with extensive rising air or rising activity, and the upper or higher elevation there will be divergence. Reverse is true in this case, that is you can take here, in the case of a high pressure region, air will be sinking, or the bottommost portion, this is high, bottommost elevations or in the lower elevation we will get divergence, and upper levels you will have convergence. In the case of low pressure you have seen rising air motion, but whereas here it will be characterized by sinking air. Okay, and this rising air motion, no doubt if an air parcel rises it will expand, and expansion will lead to cooling, and there will be rising air motion takes place and thereby cooling, and which results in clouds and precipitation. But whereas in the case of a high pressure, what we can see, that is here it is sinking. Of course, that is air motion will be in a sinking condition. Air motion due to sinking, it will make the air to compress, and this compression leads to heating. Okay, that is air parcels are getting compressed here, that is from the top to bottom air parcels are coming, or it makes a sinking of air and thereby compression of air parcel, and this area will be associated with heating mechanisms, and thereby what you can see, that is clear skies. That is the compressional warming in the case of a high pressure, whereas the expansion resulting cooling in the case of a low pressure. Okay, same thing is true, say if you go, this is the typical low pressure area and a high pressure area. Of course, this is true in the case of, if you take a trough also, say this is 1000, this is 1002, 1004, that is this is so called the trough, so this is the trough, and in the case of a ridge, so here it should be 1008, 1004, 1002. This line is called the ridge line, or a typical high pressure system or a ridge orientation results. Clear sky, of course, it is attributed to compressional heating or compressional warming of sinking air, and in the lower elevation you can see the diverging air or divergence, and the upper elevations you can expect the convergence, and solely it will result a clear sky condition. But whereas in the case of a low pressure region, it will be in the bottommost elevation or the lowermost elevations you will have a convergence, and the upper level you will have divergence, and characterized by rising air motion, and rising the air motion or the air parcel rising results in expansion and thereby cooling, and which results clouds and precipitation. Okay, now and we will see in a streamline weather chart how the horizontal divergence and horizontal convergence can be assessed. So, of course, these all features are associated with the large scale horizontal motions. Say I am taking a typical, say in a India map, say at 850 millibaric level, I can draw the so called streamlines, that is the orientation of wind direction, and at the same time we will mark through wind barbs. Say in this fashion we will mark. Okay, this and all we will study when I am taking the classes on meteorological analysis. So this is a typical streamline graph, or streamline chart I can take in this fashion. Okay, in the northern hemispheric chart. Okay, now say such a type of a streamline I am going to consider here. Say I have a streamline flow having character in this fashion, that is in the downstream direction streamlines are closer. Downstream direction are closer, and we will call this phenomena, that is these two streamlines, it will be called as confluence. Okay, and here in the case of speed, this is in the case of direction, streamline orientation, that is two streamlines are in the downstream direction, they are nearing, all streamlines are closer, and here say at a point here I am marking, and here in the case of wind speed I am seeing towards this station, here this wind vector is lesser compared to this wind vector, and it will be called as speed divergence. Okay, and no doubt this confluence we can call it as directional confluence, and whereas here another pattern I am encountering in this fashion, that is directional divergence, and such a type of pattern will be called as diffluence, no doubt characterized by directional convergence. Okay, this is the case of direction, and here at the same time I am taking, say, towards the station wind vector is large, and when it goes away from the station wind vector becomes small, and such a type of behavior will be called as speed divergence. That is one feature what we have seen, this directional confluence. Another feature in direction we have seen directional directional confluence, and here diffluence or directional, here not a convergence, divergence, directional divergence called diffluence. And the third category we have seen in the speed, in the case of speed, directional divergence and speed divergence, and here it is speed divergence. Now from this is the fourth one. From these four patterns we can make what is so called horizontal divergence. Horizontal divergence equal to, say, I have a diffluence pattern plus speed divergence, that is diffluence plus speed divergence makes horizontal divergence, and same fashion horizontal convergence is the net effect of equal to the first orientation called here directional confluence, plus the speed this is to station, that is here speed convergence. Here this is the very first pattern, confluence. So confluence plus speed divergence results horizontal divergence. Okay. Because as I have to segregate it, horizontal divergence equal to diffluence plus speed divergence, and horizontal convergence results from the addition of confluence and speed convergence. Now the divergence and convergence can be obtained due to friction. Okay, this clear? Okay. Say now I am taking a boundary between sea and land. I have my isobars. Say let it be, of course, this is low and this is high pressure region, and here I am making it as 1006 and 1004 and 1002 millibar and 1000 millibar. Of course, you know that is when m not equal to 0, it will make a cross isobaric angle. Say this is the area, land area, when this is the coast, this is the land, and this is the sea area. Say I am drawing a wind which makes a cross isobaric flow, or by making a certain angle called cross isobaric angle over the land area. When it pass through this boundary and when it enters in the sea area, it will be more near to, or the wind will becomes more parallel or almost compared to. Here you have seen alpha or the cross isobaric angle over the land, and cross isobaric angle will becomes less than that of which have the value in the land, that is cross isobaric over angle alpha s I am putting, or alpha L will be greater than alpha s. And here what we can see, when it reaches the boundary here over the sea area, say this is the wind vector and this is the wind vector over the sea area, and which results speed divergence. That is, when wind blows from land to sea, in sea area we can observe speed divergence. Okay, and the cross isobaric angle over the land will be greater than cross isobaric angle over the sea area. Now if you are considering the same situation, the reverse situation, this is the coast and these are the isobars. Okay, so of course this is land area and this is the sea. Here I am making 1006, 1004, 1002 and 1000 this much. Okay, so what we can see, when wind blows from sea to this is the border or this is the coastline, and which makes alpha s here cross isobaric angle. What we can see, when it enters in land area, due to friction it will make more cross isobaric angle. Okay, and there here you have seen the speed divergence over the sea area. But whereas here it is characterized by speed convergence over land. So already you are aware about the terms speed convergence and speed divergence. That is, when it enters the land area, that is, wind blows from the sea to land, and which makes small cross isobaric angle. When it enters to land, it will make large cross isobaric angle, and wind vector also will suffer a reduction, and it will be attributed to the, or it results to speed divergence over the speed convergence over the land area. Okay, now we will study the vertical air motion. Earlier we have mentioned as upgliding of warmer air over colder air in frontal regions. That is the effect of upgliding of air. The third category. Okay, upgliding of air. Now I am going to vertical air motions in frontal zones. Okay, say now I am considering okay, of course I have an air mass, a vast body of air. Okay, it is approaching towards us in this fashion. The total, this area is engulfed with this air mass, and let it be, this is a cold air mass. Okay, so this cold air mass, let it characterized by T1 degree Celsius. When say this a cold air mass interacts with warmer air mass from here, that is, here complete cold air mass is moving to that direction. At the same time, opposite warmer air mass collides here and air glides up here. Air glides up in this region, and let it be characterized by T2 degree Celsius. And this zone is so called the frontal zone. That is, we have two air masses characterized by difference in temperature T1 degree Celsius less than T2 degree Celsius. Of course, this should be very significant difference should be there, and in this situation air glides up, or warm air mass glides up and this area will be called as frontal. When this, as the colder air mass encounter with the warmer air mass, the line here, it will be called as a cold front, and it will be marked with such a type of sign. Okay, this is cold front. Of course, this and all I will take in a very extensive fashion, elaborate fashion, when we study on meteorological analysis. Say this is the case, but whereas now I am going to see another situation. I have a cold air mass here. Okay, T1 degrees Celsius, and when that cold air mass which moves in this direction towards east, and the same direction itself the warm air glides up, characterized by T2 degrees Celsius. Okay, and this makes a frontal zone here, that is here the warmer air over this colder vast air mass, both are in the same direction, but whereas here it is gliding up, and here vigorous precipitation activity will take place in the frontal zone. Same fashion, under this cold air mass, what we can see again, precipitation activity, and such a type of the boundary will be called as, here you have seen cold front, and here it will be termed as warm front, and it will be represented by, okay, okay, so this is the region of, that is the boundary between warm air and warm air mass and cold air mass, both are in the same direction, moves in the same direction, but whereas here colder air was rushing towards east, at the same time the warmer air collides and glides up from the opposite direction, and this is the frontal zone, and it will be called as, when the colder air mass and warmer air mass are in opposite to each other, the colder, it will be called as cold, or we will mark here as cold front, and whereas here we will mark as in the same direction, both are in the same direction, we will mark in the weather charts as warm front. So this is the another situation or the reason for vertical air motion in the atmosphere. First we have seen large scale motion, and the second one you have seen, okay, this is the second one. Second, now you are seeing the upgliding of air, and now we will go for the third category, orographic influence. Okay, this clear? Now we will study the third one, orographic influence on vertical motion. Say I have a mountainous region here, and horizontal air motion. When it encounters in the mountainous region, what we can see, it will be taking up. Okay, or the air motion will have such a type of feature. Okay, so this is the mountainous terrain, and when this horizontal air motion encounters towards the hill, this area will be called as, or this region will be called as, windward side, or windward side of the obstacle or the mountain, and the other part will be termed as lee side. Okay, later we may study as lee wave side. Okay, no doubt when it encounters here, it will make a forced rising or the horizontal air motion suffers a forced rising, and after, that is after the obstacle, it will air sinks, and sometimes you can see there will be vortices in this part. It will be termed as rotors. Okay, that is, okay, this region or the lee side of the mountain will be characterized by rotors or severe vortex motion, and this sometimes it will affect the aircraft operations. It is a catastrophic effect for the aviation meteorology. So here the windward side of this obstacle or the mountain, it will be associated with wetter climate. Of course, attributed by the air motion up. Air motion up results expansion and thereby cooling. Or this region, windward side of the mountain, will be associated with wetter climate, whereas the lee side will be characterized by hotter climate or dry climate. Okay, and this is no doubt, it will be even termed as a dry climate, and it will be termed as rain shadow region. Okay, rain shadow region, of course, this region is associated with air motion up, whereas here sinking motion. Already we studied the sinking motions are making compression of air and thereby warming. Or what we can see in the windward, if you compare the temperature regime in the lee side and wind side, let it be, this is T1 degree and T2 degree, T2 will be greater than, very greater than T1. Okay, for the same horizontal air motion, or when this region is the same umbrella of weather, what we can see in the windward side associated with the wetter climate and with low temperature, whereas here the generally what we can see, this will be associated with a dry climate or a rain shadow region, and the T2 will be greater than T1. For example, during our southwest monsoon season over the Indian region, say if I am taking the complete Indian map, you know the Indian state Kerala is situated here. Okay, this is the Indian state Kerala. Southwest monsoon. During southwest monsoon, here we have the hilly terrain, that is the east side of Kerala. We have Western Ghats, and when our southwest monsoon flow enters here, this region will be in the windward side, and here when it crosses the mountainous terrain of Western Ghats, no doubt we are going to encounter the other state, Tamil Nadu. The Tamil Nadu region will be in the lee side, and the lee side, you know, it will be associated with rain shadow region. So this is the picture during Indian southwest monsoon. That is, in the Indian map you have the Kerala region, and that is extreme southwest tip of our peninsular India, we have the Kerala state, and the east boundary of Kerala state is the Western Ghats, so that the southwest monsoon flow will make the windward side here in the Kerala region we will get the copious rainfall due to orography or orographic rain in the Kerala region. But whereas the opposite, or that is after crossing the mountainous terrain of Western Ghats, we will get, or we will reach our Tamil Nadu state of India, and the Tamil Nadu state of India will receive the dry climate, or we can see the dry climate characterized by rain shadow region. This is a typical example of orographic influence of vertical air motion. And the last one we will study the fourth one, small scale convection. Say we have the land area here, and this is the sea area. Say during daytime you will get very good incoming solar radiation or insolation, and thereby warming up of air, sudden warming of air in the land area, and it will make a circulation in this fashion, and that is sea area. It will make a downward circulation and here uplifting circulation. Okay, but whereas in the night hours sea area here that is C will be more warmer and there will be up current and here down current. Such a type of convective current system results, or the phenomena of convection results, small scale convection, which also a reason for the vertical air motion. No doubt there will be very smaller scale convective currents through even say dust devils, maybe concentrating even less than 100 meters. Okay. So small scale convection is attributed due to solar heating and thereby convection current develops. And if you see even the very smaller scale convection current also we can see as a weather feature during dust devil, and its span may be even less than 100 meters. Okay, with this session on the pressure and winds we will conclude.